Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about American politics, and we are going to talk about specifically Kamala Harris's greatest lost opportunity and the reason she will lose the election tomorrow. All right, so actually, the poll, so we all go to the polls tomorrow, and we vote for Donald Trump if you're making the right vote, Kamala if you're making the wrong vote. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who make the wrong vote. I understand that, right? Actually, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a significant. I don't even think there'll be a significant. I know some of you are going to make the wrong vote. I get it, right? There's a lot of confusion around this. There's a lot of emotion around this. It is an intellectual, emotional, spiritual journey. Your vote is an intellectual, emotional, spiritual journey. And you're like, wait a second, Scott, I'm an atheist or an agnostic. There's nothing spiritual about it. You ridiculous fool. Of course. Do you not understand that spirituality is like literally a third of the American vote? Evangelical Christians rule America because we understand voting is a spiritual act, right? Like it's very much we choose the leader, right? And then God allows or disallows it, right? But we choose, right? And there's a history on that. Like God was like, y'all don't need a king. You have a king. It's me, right? And the Jews were like, nope, we want King David, King Solomon, King Saul, right? Like, and God's like, man, you give me a lot of agita. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. But I want to talk today about Kamala Harris. I wanted to say greatest mistake, and it's not her greatest mistake, because I thought about it. Kamala Harris's greatest lost opportunity was not going on Joe Rogan, right? So first of all, we got to talk about her deciding to not go on Joe Rogan. So first of all, I think one of the biggest problems that the Democrats have is they don't have any leaders who make any decisions. They have placeholders, right? Like Biden clearly didn't make a single decision during his entire, he was a cardboard cutout, right? Like he literally couldn't even talk, right? Like he could not think about anything that was being said to him. He clearly was not making any decisions, right? And what we find now is that Kamala is the same. She's not actually a leader of any type. She is a person who looks like a leader and who people expect could lead, but she can't. And the reason why is she couldn't even have an easy, lengthy conversation. And actually, you know what? It is a hard conversation. She could not have a hard conversation. And the reason why is there's no possibility that Kamala could have talked to Joe Rogan for 3 hours. And that's why she's going to lose this election, right? Because people realized it. They're like, wait a second, you literally can't talk with someone who disagrees with you? And she's like, no, of course not, right? Biden just did it, right? The Democrats cannot help themselves, right? Right before the election, right? Hillary Clinton was like, hey, all you people who I need you to vote for me, you're a bunch of deplorables. You're all deplorables. Despicable, disgusting human beings. That's what she meant when she said deplorable. That's what we read it as, right, on the right. Now, I wasn't really on the right at the time, but that's what the right-leaning people, they were like, oh, when you say deplorable, you mean disgusting human being. I'm not going to vote for you. And they did it again, right at the exact moment of the election when they needed people to vote for them. They said, this is truly astounding. Listen to this. This is astounding what happened, right? Right when they needed them to vote for, right when the Democrats needed Republicans to vote for him, Biden said, all you Trump supporters are garbage. Garbage. We need you to vote for us, so we're going to insult you. And the reality is, it's a silent surrender. They never intended to. Kamala Harris is a complete silent surrender. Democrats had not even the slightest shred of hope that she would win, right? She's simply a cardboard cutout put in place to say, hey, we did our due diligence. We ran our candidate. And they did run a candidate. Not any candidate that had any possibility of winning. not any possibility of winning. It's astonishing, right? But I want to, in this moment of time, right now, we really need to talk about Joe Rogan. So one, Joe Rogan really is the king. Joe Rogan is the sword and board knight who has thoroughly slayed the mainstream news dragon. He has utterly, ridiculously embarrassed CNN, WAPO, New York Times, MSNBC. What a ridiculous pile of nonsense. Like, I don't know why they spend $1 on that channel. It's so ridiculous, right? No one listens. Actually, people do listen to them, but like no one on the right thinks that they're even among the left, they're a joke, right? Like, it's just, and it costs millions to serve up the worst news coverage probably that's any humans have ever produced. It's laughable. It's literally laughable, right? It's astonishing. And Joe Rogan really claimed full relevance and was like, podcasts are the way, right? This is the way. Put the helmet on, right? And Joe Rogan thoroughly defeated the mainstream media. But he was very clear, and he was like, hey, you need to listen to me and listen to me very carefully. And he put this on, and he made sure he was on record because he knew they were going to come for him, right? They were like, when she loses, they're going to be, oh, it's because Joe wouldn't have her on. And he said, listen carefully. My team called Kamala's team and said, the next 5 days are open. Like, and if you need more than that, just tell us. And actually, I don't even think they said the 5 days. They were like, we're ready. You guys just show up. Like, just show up whenever you want. Whoever's in the studio, we will kick them out of the studio, right? Like, you walk in the door, the mic is yours. No schedule, whenever you are ready. He's like, not even off business hours are limited. If you guys go out for, In and Out, and you just had a burger and you're like, let's go on Joe Rogan, like, if it's a whim, you just show up at the studio. Just text this number. We'll be there in 15 minutes, even on off hours. It's an open invitation with completely 100% open invitation for open scheduling, even up to the point of us rushing into the studio on off hours at 4 a.m. if you tell us to, right? So that means that Joe is saying, we pulled out all the stops. We made it completely available. And get this, and Kamala just couldn't find her way there. And here's the thing, it's not a mistake. Kamala knows why she can't go on there. Kamala is an empty box. She's an empty cardboard box, right? And what are the four, what are the flaps, right? The bottom is her own self-ambition. That's very real. She really wants to be a powerful person, and she wants to wield the power herself, right? That's the bottom of the box, right? What's the right side of the box? Abortion. She absolutely loves abortion, talks about it nonstop. Greatest champion of abortion that's ever lived, right? That's very genuine, very real. This one, I'm going to say this one, it's actually to her credit. I think she loves her husband, Doug, right? Not enough to have kids with him, right? Like that's like, let's not get crazy here. But she does love Doug. I think that is a very genuine love, right? So Doug is another one, right? And then what else could she talk about, right? These half-baked policies for like small businesses and if you're a small business, you get money. If you're a young couple with having kids, you get money, right? Everybody else, you can kick rocks, you get nothing, right? So these half-baked policies, that's another flap on the box, right? On the cardboard box that is her, that she could talk about, right? What else could Kamala talk about? And then right there, you can't even complete the box, right? There's nothing, right? She has no hobbies, right? She's not artistic. She doesn't have any favorites, right? Like, what's her like favorite artist? What's her favorite music? What's her favorite show? And again, all of this is carefully hidden, right? And the reason why, and it's not because she doesn't have things she believes. She definitely has things she believes. She believes that we should abandon all goodwill for America and subscribe to a globalist platform. And she also believes in every single check the box liberal idea that you would find in the most deep city, San Francisco liberalism. But she can't talk about any of that because people are like, oh, you're exactly what I thought you were, right? You're just a extremely radical San Francisco liberal, right? Excuse me. And that's the key. That's where it ends. So basically, if she went on to Joe Rogan, you go on to Joe Rogan, right? What would she smoke? What would she enjoy, right? Is it going to be a cigar? Is it going to be a cigarette? Is it going to be vape, right? Nothing. A bottle of water, right? Like, and actually, that, to her credit, that would be me too. I wouldn't imbibe. I wouldn't enjoy any recreational substances. But everybody who goes on Joe Rogan, he's like, hey, we got all the money in the world. Whatever it is you want, you got it, right? 420, whatever, and she would just be sitting there with a bottle of water, room temp, right? Right out of the gate, people would be like, nah, nope, right? And then it just goes on and on and on, just this pile of blah, right? And, he would ask her a real question, and she'd go, you know what, Joe, I grew up in a middle-class family, and blah, and then also, and we've learned, right? I grew up in a middle-class family. Word salad next. No reason to listen to any of it. She wouldn't even get a minute in. Not even a single minute in, right? She is an empty box, right? That stands for nothing but her own self-ambition and abortion. Those things she's true champions of and dug, right? Like, that's it. Like, that's the whole ball of wax, right? And she knew she couldn't go on Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan is a real one, and he shows real ones, and he shows the fake pomposity-ridden fools. You can see him. He illuminates them with a black light, and he would have illuminated her, and she would have been like, Joe, all I really am is an incredibly self-ambitious Machiavellian, right? Abortion champion who loves every single thing that deep city San Francisco stands for. And they'd be like, well, that means you're going to get every San Francisco vote, and not one single person in this country that ever drank a Pabst Blue Ribbon, drove a Ford F-150, or ate a cheeseburger is ever going to vote for you. And that's it. That's the whole ball of wax, right? Like, and so it is her great, and honestly, it's not even a missed opportunity. She simply knew if she went on Joe Rogan's show, he would massacre her without even trying. He would illuminate her like a black light. She would show up like, like a stain on the wall. It would just, and everybody would be like, it would be really, really bad, right? Like, just, it would illuminate the neon aspects of her, right? Like a neon like a blacklight poster that you can't really see, and that's the thing that Joe Rogan is. He is like this. He just shows people in a different light, and she could not have endured even 1 minute with him. Just even literally, just the first moment in the chair, and he said, "What can I get you?" And she's like, room temperature bottled water. Would have been done, right? Would have been done. And I think it's incredible. It's one of the most incredible things. So that's why Kamala Harris her loss will begin tomorrow, right? Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.